Clap. All right, here we go. Episode 9 in the building. SomeBuddies Podcast, recovery podcast, lifestyle podcast, entrepreneur, a bunch of other shit podcasts. What are we?
Yeah, we're all that.
All that, and
Spiritual
podcast.
Yep, that's my thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Once again, I got my co-host in the building, Mr. Christopher Ledoux. We moved him on the shit mic. That mic's broken.
Because I don't say shit.
Yeah. So we put him on the shit mic. We got Mr. Justin back in the building, and we got a special guest by request in the streets. You know what I mean? In the streets of Nashua all the way to Revere. We have Mr. Richie Giala in the building.
Welcome.
How do we introduce you? So things I love about what we do, right? What we do. We see it all the time. And you get to see the process and the miracle of recovery take place in other people's lives, right? You get to see, and you see it in many different forms, but you get to watch the process actually take place. And for me, it gives me nostalgia or whatever it is. It brings me back to like certain moments, and like to watch it like unfold in real time is powerful, you know, to see like the resistance that occurs when someone first initially walks in, to see the demeanor. Did you hear me? So like the defense mechanism, when we tapped into that last week, you know, the fear, when we have that like defense mechanism, that resistance, we're guarded because we're unsure, you know, don't know. And it's all self-inflicted stuff, right? We come in with self-inflicted. We're battling internally, the internal warfare. You know, we have this thing that talks to us in our own voice, and it's like presenting the counter argument to whatever the good that is being presented to us, and to like watch someone go through that, and then to see like the flicker of hope, right? You always talk about feeding the flame of desire, right? And watching your process, Richie, like watching you, and what was cool is that I saw you from the very beginning, and when you came around, Nicole, shout out Nicole, you had already had a previous relationship with you. So the way that she would counteract your disease was fucking hysterical. You know what I mean? Like whenever you were trying to present the bullshit, you could hear her from the other room. Oh, shut the fuck up, kid.
Facts.
And whenever you were trying to feed the counter argument, you know what I mean? Because instinctually we're going to be resistant. The first thing that reveals itself to us, like the disease, especially in early recovery, is the resistance, right? Like it's the second, like, we're clean for like a week, right? We go from that point where we're desperate and we're willing to do anything, right? When we have that gift of desperation in that current moment where like, I need help, we can no longer think and live and feel the way that we're living and thinking and feeling. So we ask for help. A lot of us will go to detox, stuff like that. And we get out of the detox, we get a few showers and we get a few meals in us. And then all of a sudden, like we start to like feel good again. And then a new train of thought comes in. And we start to present the alternative path to what's presented, right? So there's these people that'll be like, hey, I got this fucking blueprint, right? It works. It works. I know for a fact I'm a product of it. He's a product of it. He's a product of it. I have this blueprint. This is what you got to do. It's not easy, but it's not fucking rocket science. And if you follow this, you can change your life. And then the resistance comes forward and says, hey, I know they said that thing, right? I got this other idea. I got this other idea. And I used to hear Nicole counteract her other ideas from the other room. And
shut me down quick.
But we all need that. That's the thing. People, especially in recovery, you have to have people around you that aren't afraid to tell you the truth, right? And that are also willing to meet you where you're at. And allow you the freedom to say out loud what your truth is, because you presented your truth in real time. She was only able to counter argument that because you were saying out loud what you were thinking and feeling, as ridiculous as it was. And so to watch that process take place and then to see something click, right? Just from repetition. That's the thing that people don't understand. We don't have to do this perfect with anything in life, anything that we're trying to strive for or change with. It's the repetition in nature of what we're trying to attain. It's just like getting up and forward movement and understanding that it's not going to be fucking perfect, right? It's just that we're at least giving the attempt towards something, striving to be better and being in a state of humility where we're allowing people to know our frailties and stuff like that. But so to watch your process and to see you not only go from that resistant and semi-defiant and then to go to like this power and this light that you are today, man, like not only did at some point you turn and you made a turnaround and you embrace it, but I saw you take it to another level, right? Like for me, I have conviction in my belief system. You can't shake me off it. It's not something that I think, it's something that I feel. I'm a product of it. And if you stay long enough, anybody in recovery, if you stay long enough, you start to become a product of it too. Mm-hmm. And that develops the state of mind that I have, right? The conviction in your belief system. You can't shake me or tell me otherwise because my experience says different, right? As much as my mind might want to convince me, my experience already has the truth. And I've seen that happen with you. And I've seen you not only embrace recovery personally, but I've seen you embrace it in terms of like helping other people, man, which is my favorite fucking thing in the world, because that's what we got to do, man. It's like we get on these rants all the time just about the connection and loving people and the power in that. So when I see people embrace that shit, it makes me happy because it's through people that this carries on, right? As much as they do this shit on TV, like they talk about the epidemic and fucking all this stuff on television, the only thing that's ever going to fix anything is people. And you're now one of those people, and to watch you to do that is fucking inspiring, man. You're a part of my life, you're a part of everybody's life in here. I see you like working in other people's lives, man, like helping other guys, picking people up, going to meetings, doing commitments, just fully integrated into the recovery community, man. And you got your family around, like it's a beautiful thing to watch and see the change that has occurred in your life. So obviously what we do is we bring people on here and I talk for 2 hours and you listen, and then Justin will talk for 45 minutes and then we'll let you say hi to the people back home. But no, so what I want to know is get your point of view, right? So how do we go from this place of resistance that you were at to the Richie that I know today that's like fully integrated and emaciated in this shit and like fucking doing it?
Well, like when I came up here, man, like I exhausted every avenue of like recovery like that I've known and like that I've tried, and like I came up here and like my first thing was like, they're like, you're going to New Hampshire, Nashua, and I'm like, these guys are fucking hillbillies. They drive trucks with flannels, man. Like, what do I got in common? But like, something inside me was like, just go for it. Like, you got nothing else to lose, right? And I get up there, and then like, everyone there is from like Mass, right? Like, so I'm like, all right, so here we go. And then and I was tired, man. Like my youngest son's mother just died, and like I didn't want to do this anymore. And I was just clean for like 6 months, and I had a relapse. I reached out to like Nicole, and she's like, "Come on up." And like I still wanted to run my program, and she's like, you know, you got to get off of everything, and I'm like, but I need this, and she's like, but no, too bad, and so like I got off of everything when I came up here, and like then I'm sitting in there, man, and like still sick from detox and like still like sick of like letting everyone down. Like I was beat. Like I might not have, like, cause I just had 6 months clean. I was out there for like maybe 13, 14 days on a vicious run. And cause like that's my vicious runs now, like real short. And like I had nothing else to lose. Like, but like me being who I am and an addict and like fresh off the streets, like I still thought like I knew a few things, and like I came up here and like I came to like the fact like that I don't know nothing. And then I see like Justin, I see Chris, and you guys got like multiple years, and like my sister, like I was resentful for this program because like she did like what she was supposed to, like the blueprint you said, like she stopped using everything, she stopped hanging out with her old friends, and like she made new friends, and like she made that connection like you were talking about, and like they're still clean today, and like they're still tight, they still all get together, and like they still talk, and like this is over like 15 years later. Wow. And so like for me, like I'd go in 6 months, I wouldn't make any new friends, I'd go back to work, and like it was the same cycle. And like up here I had the privilege of like not having to rush back to work. to like concentrate on me. And like I would go up there and like I would hear you guys share, and like you guys, and I started like listening, man, because like I had nothing else to do. I wasn't in a rush to go to work. Like I just lost my kid's mother. Like my family, I just destroyed them again. And but like deep down inside, like I felt at home. You know what I mean? I didn't feel like I was being judged. I didn't feel like I had to prove myself to anybody, because like no one up here knew me from the streets. So I didn't have like this false persona like that I had to keep up, man. I could have just been myself. Yeah. And like I struggled a little bit because like I still wanted to do things my way, and like there was rules and I didn't like them, but like I still abide by them, you know, because like at that point, man, like I didn't want to go back out there, and I knew like I had to do a few things to like stay around here. So like I did that, and like you guys would do like suggestions, and like Justin, one thing I love is like how you always instilled like write things down. When you write things down, like you have a better chance on like getting like doing them, and like I still do that to today. Like even like doing it at the sober house that I'm a house manager at, like I still write like my weekly things down and like the things I need to get accomplished so like I can get them done. And like little things like that, like before I would make excuses like why I don't have to do that, but like being able to like see here, and like when you guys shared and like what you talked about, like I started to believe like it's possible, and like how you guys break things down. It was like, and I'm not just saying it, you guys, it was a part of my life, like where I was at in my life. Like I wasn't calling bullshit on everything I heard. You know what I'm saying? I started believing people that were living this program and like that had some clean time, instead of like saying like, oh, they forgot what they came from or shit like that. You know what I mean? And like, not to mention like you guys own it. And like you guys run groups, and like you guys are there with us, and you guys let us know like you guys ain't human, and it was a lot easier for like me to identify with you guys and like and feel part of, because like let's face it, like I'd never been into a program where like the owners are like holding groups. You know what I'm saying?
Justin, are you gonna cry?
No, I'm not gonna cry. Maybe,
but like
I get a little emotional, to be honest.
Yeah,
I am.
It's
because it's like it's amazing to see like where you came from to where you're at now, and just the process of God and you know what I mean, and love, and like what it can do for people. Yeah. At the end of the day, that's like really what's going on. It's like not, I got a little emotional too, because you were talking about your sister and how you were kind of envious of your sister, and I got a brother out there, and I feel like it's hard for him to get recovery because I got so much fucking clean time, and it's like he can't live up to my, you know what I mean? And it's not even the expectations I'm putting on, because it's not your sister wasn't putting any expectations on you, but there's a piece of the disease that's like, fuck that, fuck him, you know what I mean, that wants to pit you up against doing the right thing, right? Because it contradicts who you are and what you're doing, you know, and it adds another layer. So it was a dual emotion, but yeah, I fucking.
No, but that was the best thing she could have done, was like stay clean, because like she stopped asking me to go to programs. She stopped asking me if I needed help. She made me reach out to her. But like the good thing about it is like when I was ready, like she was clean to like guide me in the right direction. So like when your brother is ready, like you're going to be there to guide him. And I'm not like I have an amazing relationship with my sister today. Like, and like cause like we grew up together. We're only a year apart, and like it was always me and her. We were running partners, and like it split off, man. Like it was fucking rough, because like my best friend like just turned her back on me because like she had to get her life together. But like that's not even the case, man. Like I could have been on that ride with her. I chose not to. You know what I'm saying? But I could see that now, and you know what I mean? So it's fucked up. Like the longer we stay away from like the drugs, and like the more work we do on ourselves, the more we see things from a different light. And like she had to do that for herself. And like I had to cut people off in my life because of like, I could understand that now, because like I can't risk like my recovery for like, you know, someone else. Like it's not worth it. But like to me, it's really not. Like I have a life today. Like I live every day, man. I wake up, I'm so grateful. And and like I say that, and I was saying this in like my house meeting, like grateful's like, it's an action word. So it's like, if I'm talking grateful, if I'm talking like how grateful I am, and like I'm going to a meeting like with 3 empty seats in my car, or like if I say like I'm grateful for something, and like, you know, like you call me and like you know, come on over, and like I'm like, fuck that. Yep. You know what I mean? It's like when someone calls like when narcotic or whatever, anything calls for me, like if I have an opportunity to do something new, like I do it. Like, yeah, I was afraid to come on here, but like that was fear, and I don't live in that today.
Yeah.
And like I don't have to, and I learned that from you guys. Like you guys take risks. Like I take risks. You know what I'm saying? Like risks that I wouldn't do, like schooling. Like I came up here, I was in the union for 17 years, right? All my classes are free, right? Never once did I take a class. I was totally fine with where I was at. You know what I mean? Why? It could be because I was afraid of failing the class, you know? And like today, like I went back to class twice and got 2 certifications since I've been up here for 18 months.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
amazing.
And like, that's the shit like I got from up here. Like I got the confidence back in myself. I got people that back me up, tell me like that I could do it and like help me do that. And it's just fucking, it's awesome, man. Like I feel like I'm at home up here and like I am, you know?
And most important, you're one of the captains in my scooter gang. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You know, you
Yep.
know,
You know,
absolutely.
Chris is he's just on a scooter. He doesn't have rank or
Like a
nothing.
grunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's gonna work his way up one day.
You
No,
got a bad scooter though. I like your
Yeah,
scooter,
right?
actually.
Yeah, no,
I feel bad.
He's got the coolest one.
I
He
feel
does.
badass.
He does have the coolest.
Nah,
one.
me and Richie's we got
Facts.
the little mini ninja
Yeah.
scoots.
Oh,
Dude,
yeah.
I
I mean-
love
I
that.
haven't got one yet.
I love that so many mass guys come up here and make it home because they have that like thought of like, oh, it's like fucking flannel shirts and like riding horses and whatever. But like a lot of guys come up here and make it home. And dude, Chris nailed it on the head with you, especially about helping guys out. I remember the first house I managed, Spalding. Everyone's like, oh, my sponsor Richie, and like. Just like you coming by and like checking up with guys at the house or like bringing dinner by or even I did a cookout the other day, and a couple past clients came and visited and they live in your house now and they just talk about like how so there's a difference, right? There's some people come into recovery and they just kind of skate by or whatever, but when, like someone falls into a manager position, like it's either you make it or you crumble quick and you can't handle it, right? But I feel like if you come with people like with compassion and actually get to know them as a person, like that's where you can really start helping out, right? And that's all I hear about you, man. And like that's how I try to come at people. I don't come at people perfectly, but I try to get to know them as a person and because I care, the relationship you have with your sister too, like that you gotten back, like it sucks you didn't get it at the same time with her, but I feel like, my journey was mapped out for me before I even, before I could walk. I felt like I went through the pain and the suffering for a reason, and I'm happy. I wouldn't go back and change it for the world. I used to think I'd want to, but I feel like it could change my outcome, and the connections and that I've made is amazing. But I've never heard anyone or even seen you drive to a meeting just like with you and your girlfriend or whatever. Your car's always packed, and that's what it's about.
That's how I know when someone's gonna make it.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't know if other people are gonna make it, but I start to feel like, all right, they got it.
Yeah.
I say every time I speak, no matter where I speak, everything good in my life has come from helping other people.
Mm-hmm.
Facts.
And then I usually steal Justin's quote after, and I said, actually, I took everything good in my life comes from sitting in these seats, is what he says.
Yeah, that's what I. Yeah,
And I
that's
say everything good in my life has come from other people. So I took his and I fucking
Twisted it?
Twisted
You made
it
it
and
better?
made it better. Yeah.
Yeah.
But when I see people taking that, it's like what you said. Why you're a good leader and why you're a good leader is because you don't say you don't tell people, you show people, and that people don't want to be told what to do. People want to be showed what to do, and it doesn't even necessarily need to be known that you're showing them. It's that if you're a true leader, it gets people to do what they want them to do without even them knowing that they want them to do it. It's by the actions that they take repetitiously that will continue to inspire the people around them. It's like if you truly want to get people to follow you, it's just lead by doing the things that you would suggest, and that's what I think. Like I learned from Justin early in recovery is that all his suggestions he was doing, you know what I mean? Like he lived a principled life, and when he was fucking up, he shared it openly and honestly. Like I remember I used to hear him in meetings talk about certain things, and I'd be like, God damn, you know what I mean? And then I would see the reactions about those things. Guys would laugh, and laughter comes from identification, right? And so that helped me to be more like that very early on, probably around the 4-year mark. But then with the contagion thing, and this is what we want to imprint the most on people, is through the loving up of people. Go ahead.
And it gives people permission. At the end of the day, it's like everything in us when we were using resists doing the right thing. There's like a piece of us that doesn't want to let go of the city mentality and the other. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned spirituality, but it's like, dude, I'm about spirituality today. That's like what I care about. But spirituality is what connects us. Inevitably, we're all human, and we're all, fundamentally the same spirit of the same spirit. And when you are able to be yourself and come from a loving, caring place, which you're really, really good at. It's like a talent of yours, actually. And I know exactly the guys that he's talking about that are in your house that are fucking killing it, and you give people permission to like embrace this way of life.
Yeah.
Which is like, it goes against a piece of us that we've learned our whole lives, is that like, I need to be like part of fucking Sons of Anarchy. Like that's, I mean, you guys.
Well, we are.
Yeah,
Essentially.
I mean, you guys pretty much are Sons of Anarchy.
We're the Sons of Nashua right now.
For real.
But like making you give people permission to make recovery cool.
Yeah.
Because it's like this weird, it's easy to kind of be like, oh, you know what I mean? That's stupid. It's like easy to fall into that negative belief system about doing the right thing. But it's like doing the right thing is amazing. You start doing the right thing and your life just prospers right in front of you. I don't know what I was saying there.
I got it.
Awkward. And so it's just about giving people permission and inviting them into an atmosphere, which, you being a house manager of ours, you create the atmosphere. It's like if you looked at the odds of people, and I say this in group a lot too, it's like find your people, because one person can change your life. And I know factually that there are guys who you specifically have changed their lives from who you are. From you embracing this process and being able to openly be who you are, you give them permission and safety to be who they are, and you're changing and growing together, and like that's what this recovery process is. It's a process of growth. It's a process of personal growth, getting to know ourselves, and trying to do the right thing. And when we don't, you just be honest about it. Because when you're honest, you give other people permission for them to be honest. And that was one thing I actually appreciate about you too, is that even though you weren't always doing the right thing, you would be honest about it. And, we could bust your balls about, didn't have your license, buying a caddy, guy from Revere.
Dude, you were hilarious. Hilarious in that process.
Absolutely. But I participated in my recovery.
You did.
No matter what.
And the most important thing that he just said there is in spite of, right? Because we're never going to have the ability to be perfect, right? There's no such thing as the perfect human, the perfect addict, the perfect nothing. We're not responsible to the perfect recovery. We're responsible to the perfect truth, right? And that's what will keep us clean for sustainable lengths of time, and even indefinitely. It's being responsible to our truth. People get it so fucking twisted, man. Especially, it's in early recovery, it's hard, and then people get a little bit of time, it's hard. Early recovery is because we're full of fear, right? Fear and terror, because the idea of someone truly seeing us or knowing us is terrifying. And then we go through this process for the first year. It's like newcomer, right? Now, once you get comfortable telling the truth, you have the tag of newcomer. You're allowed to do these fucking maniac things and stuff like that. You almost, okay, I can tell the truth because everybody knows, keep coming, it gets. But then there comes you're 18 months clean, you're 2 years clean, you're 3 years clean, you're 22 years, 15 years, and then your mind says, oh no, we don't have permission to tell the truth no more.
Yep.
Right.
Because we've actually hit this place of perception, right? We have to be perceived as such, which is the biggest fucking lie your disease will tell you, because that is the number one taker of addicts from fucking the 3, 4, 5 year mark out back to thinking that they can drink again, thinking that they can smoke weed again, thinking because they're crippled internally and they're not willing to let out what their struggles are because they don't want to be knocked off whatever pedestal their mind has built them up to be on, or even the people around them, because people can build you up to pedestals too, because inevitably you stop using drugs, you take measures to, in recovery, your life is going to be something that other people will look up to, right now you're a power of example, people will look up to you. At some point people will put you up on a pedestal. Now your responsibility is to not buy into the hype of you.
Yeah.
Right? Because it'll, and this is why, because if you start to buy into the hype of yourself with everybody giving you that validation, you're the best, you're the best, you're the best, you're the best. Although it is good and you may be doing good, if you buy in wholeheartedly and completely that you're this all-inspiring guy and all this stuff, even though you might be at that time, if we don't stay in some sense in a state of humility, then it'll make it hard for us to then convey to someone else that we fucked up, especially in an open forum, right? Or especially to maybe whoever it is, friends or the people around you. It's the more people that know the truth about us, the more that we're safe.
But it goes back to like, what are we sharing in meetings? Are we sharing our truth? Are we sharing a message of truth? Are we sharing a message of knowledge?
Yeah.
Because the problem when you start sharing messages of knowledge is it becomes a hierarchy on who knows the most. So if I'm sharing how much I know, then it might make you feel insecure and unsafe to share your truth. And I see it all the time, and it aggravates me, to be honest, because it comes this like sizing up thing where it becomes a hierarchy of clean time, a hierarchy of knowledge. And it's like, at the end of the day, I don't give a shit how much knowledge you have. It's about living your truth. That's spirituality. And dude, there are a lot of people who in a short period of time, they get off the spiritual path because step 2 is coming to believe in a way of life. And a way of life is inviting God into your life. And the way that we invite God into our lives is we practice spiritual principles. So we're honest, we're open-minded, we're willing, but it's so easy to get some clean time, to tag an image on ourselves, have a perception of this is who I am. Let me get, you know what I mean? Let me get the outside fixed up. And then everybody has this perception of who I am. Maybe help a zillion people, because I see people fall into that too. They're helping a million people, but not sharing honestly about what they're struggling with.
Yeah, because that's another trap too. If I'm helping all these people, how can I
help myself?
Yeah,
exactly. And then you're feeding your perception, because since you're helping all these people, you have to live up to this standard
that you're trying to set.
Exactly.
And you're not concentrating on yourself because you're hanging with people that are sicker than you.
Yeah.
And I've had the focus is on them.
I've had to take days and just unplug because I feel like all I do is give, and I have no time for me, and I just burn out. And that's where I see a lot of people, like, that's where complacency, and it happens with me too. I get complacent if I just give, you know?
But it goes back to the power of honesty and the power of truth.
Yeah.
It literally, because by you just being honest, you give everybody else the permission for them to be honest, and that's what you teach. But a lot of the times, we're not teaching the correct things, I think. And I'm not putting people down, but at the same note, like, you know, in AA, they talk about being rocketed into a fourth dimension of existence. You're talking deep spiritual talk and that type of stuff. Now, when we're talking about that type of stuff, we're talking about a spiritual way of life that is not like there's what's it called? In the spiritual world, they have something called where teachers kind of like elevate themselves in ego and they lose the path. And I feel like in recovery, we can fall into that trap a lot, because we fall into the trap of how spiritual we are. And I know for me, I'm just speaking for myself, I was guilty of this, where everybody looked up to me, and I started to live on a perception of what everybody else thought about my life instead of being
shame.
Exactly.
Shame.
Instead of being able to listen to myself and what my truth was.
Yeah.
And the truth is, God will talk to you if you listen. Yeah. But you got to let go of the rigidity, and you got to share honestly, and you got to do some listening. And if you can start to do that, then you can start to get to just being who you are. But it's so easy to fall into the hierarchy, and I'm not putting down the program because it's just a reflection.
You're just sharing.
I love the 12 step. I love the 12 steps, and I love 12-step programs. But at the same note, I don't always feel like, and it depends on the meeting you go to, but some meetings you go to, it's not a safe environment because everybody's just sharing knowledge, and it becomes like a
pissing match.
A pissing match.
Well, no, and there's meetings and there's that everywhere, no matter where you go in recovery, AA, NA, whatever fellowship, you'll find that, and you'll find people like that, and then you'll find truth tellers. And to piggyback on that, and I know you get insecure, like you feel like you're shitting on the program and stuff like that. I don't take it as you're shitting on the program. You're just being truthful, and that's what I want to do on this podcast, because I got asked to share at the Boston convention this past year, and I didn't want to go. I didn't want to do it because I was like feeling some type, because where you're at, because my previous 6 months going to a lot of meetings in different areas, the tone in the meetings was bringing out a different side of me, right? I felt like protective for the like super defensive, right? Because the shares were a lot of knowledge and a lot of this is the way, right?
Yep.
This is and it was like if you're on this drug, or if you're doing it like this, or don't say sober, it just felt fucking tight as fuck, and
rigid.
It was super rigid, and it was making me frustrated, right? Because I remember being in a meeting a long time ago when I was probably like 17. I went to an old school AA meeting. I remember I said that I was an addict, and some guy yelled in the meeting, "You have the desire to stop drinking." It scared the shit out of me, and he was like, "This is Alcoholics Anonymous," and fucked me up.
Yeah.
Literally fucked me up. I don't think I went to another meeting. It was because the terror I had to even raise my hand, and then someone, and that imprinted. So when I finally got clean when I was 22 and I went to meetings and stuff like that and I bought into it, what saved my life at that time was that my area that we were going to was very young. And there was a lot of like patience and tolerance from, because I mean, NA back in the day, our predecessors was Justin with fucking like, I think he had 5 years, dude. And our area, like you had 5 years clean. That was the equivalent of like 50 years in our area.
Yeah.
But so there was a lot of young guys that were leading. And so there was a lot more patience and tolerance towards what was happening in the halls. Therefore, because it had to be, because there was a ton of young guys coming in, young men and women. So the tone that was set was different. That's the only reason why I stayed around, because the kid that walked into that meeting was fucking horrified. And if there wasn't a patient, intolerant, and loving community at that time, I would have never made it. And when you were talking, I remember at one point when I finally learned how to tell the truth, and I went on this rant about always talking about how much of a piece of shit I was, and how much of a piece of shit I was, and how much of. And I remember you coming up to me after meeting and telling me, "You're not a piece of shit no more, Chris. You have to stop talking like that. That is not who you are anymore." But I had been so wired to just like I have to tell the truth that I didn't even notice that I had put together time of me not being.
It's another thing that happens in meetings that's mistaught. We will hone in on our negative selves, and we feed them power by doing that. And it's kind of like a justification in ways. And I'm guilty of doing this. It's like I want to justify doing the wrong thing. I want to play both sides. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's when and I'm not judging anybody. It's just all you can do is just stand for who you are and your truth. But by doing that, it's comforting and you'll connect with people. But when you kind of teeter back and forth, in my opinion, it's like easy to pass the wrong message sometimes. Because at the end of the day, as addicts, we're looking for, tell me I can do this. Tell me I can do that. Yeah, and at the end of the day, you can do whatever you want is the truth of the matter. I deeply believe that, I don't care what people's process are. If you're being honest and open about what's going on with you, then you're in the process of recovery. Yeah. I don't care who you're sleeping with. I don't care what, you know what I mean? What job you're doing. It's the difference between being honest and not is the difference between being on a spiritual path and being in the process of recovery or not being in the process of recovery. And there are a lot of people who want to be sharing about the 7th step and they're not working a first step. You're not working a second step. You're not sharing honestly about what's truly going on. And so for me, it always goes back to one of the most important things we can do is just share our truth, share who we are, good, bad, and different, all. You know what I mean? Share your struggles, but also share your aspirations too, because people need to hear that also, but your experience. Not just knowledge. This is how it is. Go to meetings, get a fucking sponsor, work the fucking steps. It's
go ahead, jump in, Chris.
Yeah, I've been waiting. I'm like, fucking.
All I can hear is him going.
Listen, I remember calling my sponsor at not even 30 days clean, and they were outside meetings, and this guy was quoting the literature, and he made me feel so small and so important that it got to me. I had nothing to say because I was just so nervous. Right. My understanding of meetings now has changed, but it's to direct the newcomer towards the 12 steps or towards spirituality, both, right? But there's some meetings I go to, like step study meetings. I'm in one right now. I don't say a word because I'm there to learn. Even though I've been through the work, I understand, to remain teachable, how important that is on the daily basis because my ego likes to tell me that I know everything, right? We talked about perception. What's the one thing every time you share it? I don't want to fuck it up, but it's whatever your perception is of me, change it. Because when I heard that, I was like, Jesus Christ, you know, because I need to expose my truth.
Yeah,
I need to expose my truth.
And I'm not saying you don't need to learn. I mean,
I
think,
no. I'm not saying you did say that, but it's like, I get it when you said, like, you know, people are going, it can turn into a pissing match.
But even when we're talking about learning, it's like, dude, there is so much out there. This is another thing that you and I share in common, that like, dude, we got a wall of people here who are amazing people with amazing spiritual knowledge, that the 11th step teaches you should be leaving the program and dissecting, you know, ingesting some of this knowledge of other people. And we can get so rigid about the only way. AA is the only way.
How
NA
crazy
is the
is this?
only way.
On our wall, we have Jimmy K, Dr. Bob, Bill Wilson on the same wall. That's crazy, right?
Hey,
Oh, man.
Draw a line.
Draw a line, yeah.
Pick a side.
Sober and clean. Ooh, that's going to
Outsiders.
turn some heads.
I believe if you're within the fellowship, whatever your fellowship, you do your thing in that fellowship. I don't
Find a home.
Find a home, yeah. Right. But I believe in all fellowships.
But don't be prideful about it, because pride's a sin. So once you start being prideful about your fellowship, you eliminate the connection to other ones. Dude, my brother, I'm ashamed of myself, dude. I had 12, 13 years clean, and I mean, I only knew what I knew, but I was an NA Nazi for many years. You knew this.
Yep.
And that's just, that was the way, that was my thing. And here's my brother getting clean, and he's going to AA, and I'm not in a meeting with him because I'm NA, and I don't go to AA. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And I was taught that way, to be honest. And it's not right. At the end of the day, like, our humanness connects us. The recovery fellowships should all connect us. It doesn't really matter. I don't care what meetings you go to on this panel. I care that you're fucking doing the right thing and trying to live a spiritual way of life. Yeah. You know, and when if we're truly practicing spiritual principles, it should connect us, not divide us. Yeah. And sometimes there is some messages based on pride, because pride's divisive. At the end of the day, when you're prideful about one thing, that's cool, but it pits you up against another. Yeah. So it's about, and so, you know, that's one of the things that's cool about, I mean, dude, when we started the process, I wanted to like be the NA treatment center.
Yeah, I remember.
That was my goal, was there's a bunch of AA treatment centers out there. Yeah, so we're going to be the NA treatment center. I'm going to convert everybody to Narcotics Anonymous and keep them clean. And I had a pretty good track record at that point of some sponsees and some other stuff. But at the end of the day, not everybody wants to go to NA. And we have tons of people who like are in our, you know, who go to AA or go to Smart Recovery or go to 3 Principles or are into meditation meetings or into hiking. And it's like, dude, awesome. Yeah. You do you. Yep. Find your truth. Find what works for you.
Right.
Find what works for you.
Well, it's tough to not be passionate, because NA saved your life, right? It helped you in the beginning.
And I am passionate, but people get rigid because it makes them feel safe.
Yeah.
So you come to learn what works for you, and then since it works for you, it becomes a safety net of this is what works. Yeah. When the truth is that there's not one way to do anything. Mm-hmm. This universe, quantum physics has shown there's a million different possibilities and paths and outcomes for almost anything. Mm-hmm. And so for us to ignorantly say, I mean, I'm not God, so I don't know. I know that if I love and support somebody.
You're not?
Absolutely not.
I thought you were starting the cult. What?
Furthest thing
the
from.
Cult?
I thought you were the god of the new cult that was starting.
Well, we are going to start a love cult.
Love cult.
Yeah.
Richie, you were going to jump. You got to know that.
I'm sorry.
You have to fucking.
No, I know.
Just say shut up, Justin.
No, we were on the meeting thing, and you know, when I first got up here, I remember doing my intake, and Eddie, shout out to him, he's like, well, what do you do, NA or AA? And I'm like, it don't really matter. I do some AA, because I got clean in Boston, and they got all AA. I got clean in Lynn, and it was strong NA, and he's like, well, pick a program and work it. Don't put your foot on both doors. So, like, that's what I did, and I jumped into NA, and I felt at home. And, like, that's what works for me. But, like, being a house manager, I got guys that go to AA. And I build them up, like, yeah, whatever works for you, man. I don't knock it, but, like, you know, I had the same home group for the past 18 months since I've been up here, because, like, if I don't like something in the halls, right, I feel like I got to do something, but I got to keep coming and try to like, cause like at the business meeting at the end is like where we go over the shit. And like, 100% right, man. Like, I got a guy coming in with like a week clean and he's saying sober at an NA meeting and people are like clean. You know what I mean? And then like for the next month,
you might as well say shame.
Right.
Shame. That's what you're saying to the guy.
That's what turns people off.
Oh, dude, it's terrible. It's like, shut the fuck up.
Yes, Justin.
Let the dude say fucking sober.
Right.
Jesus Christ. He's fucking new. He needs some goddamn fucking love.
Yeah.
Shut your fucking mouth with that bullshit.
For real.
Legit. I said it. I don't give a fuck if I offend you. Stop being a dickhead. How about love some fucking people?
For real.
You're turning me on, Justin. I'm gonna say.
Could be from South Boston. You know what I mean? He's fucking wicked sober guy.
Well, at the end of the day, he'll learn. It's like you don't need to shame people. You need to love people up. You need to make them feel welcome. Like it's a word. At the end of the day, it's just a word. Mm-hmm. It's like, and so I understand we use NA language. I get that. I'm 22 years in this program. I know the traditions in and out. But at the same note, we are contradicting the spiritual aspect of the program.
Well, here's how I'll challenge you, though.
Okay.
Well, that person that's saying clean, that's what they're taught.
I agree. This is a misteaching.
So we can't. So as angry as you want to be, that's why what you were saying, right? You're responsible to your groups because you need to participate in your home group because when something wants to be the change you wish to see. And I remember I had a sponsor that said the same thing to me, as frustrated as I got. And that's part of my frustration at the time because I wasn't able to get to as many, because I've done that before. I've been a part of groups that I've hated, and what I did was I doubled down and committed harder in certain areas. Right. And it is infectious, and you actually do have the power to change the tones of meetings. A couple people consistently can change the tones of meetings, and you'll hear it. But it's at the responsibility. So for me, as frustrated as I get, if I'm not in there fully committed, it's like
it's a waste. It's a waste of energy. It's a waste of nothing because like if you could do something about it, man, like I feel like it's my obligation to like speak my mind and like say like because when I came up here, man, I was doing AA, NA, and I said sober, and when I heard that, like I was standoffish, man. Like I didn't want to share the wrong words, and then when I had to share like. Because of how they were speaking. But as I came and as I joined the group and as I got active and as I learned more and like I listened, like I was able to like go on commitments and do H&I and like different levels of service where like we're going into treatment centers and like we are bringing a clear NA message and and they tell you to like share a certain way and like not say that because of the fellowship and because Narcotics Anonymous says clean and recovery, and AA says sober. And stuff like that. But like it's stuff that like we got to learn, and it's like nobody's gonna go in there their first week and like know that. But like they shouldn't be like pushed out the door or like God forbid I'm stubborn, man, and like I didn't care what anyone said when I said fucking sober, and I kept saying it, and then like you told me it was clean, and I said it to fucking make you to say fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, who are you to tell me? So, like, I was doing it out of spite for a little while. And then, like, I says, well, why am I spiting them? You know what I mean? Now I'm acting out and now I'm doing it for a thrill. And, like, once I stopped doing that and I started listening more and I was able to, like, pick up, like, the language, like, as they speak. But, like, it didn't come over fucking night.
But the responsibility is that now, especially in the halls, and we'll swerve off this topic, too. It's now it's on. You got 18 months. It's on guys like us. Like,
well, it's the old guard versus the new guard.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that's the only way that it changes, right? But we're responsible to love the same way we're protective, and we're trying to love the new guy from not being scared away. We have to be just as protective and love the person that's doing the whole pushing of people out and stuff like that, because we can't choose to love one where they're at and not love someone else where they're at, because at the end of the day everybody's in a process and where they're truly at. And if we're saying that you're never obligated to be anything other than where you actually are in this moment, that's for all, not just for some. So sometimes people in their moment, what you just said was you were once the shame guy.
And I get it. I'm being contradictory here because not being open and loving and caring to someone. To me.
Essentially.
I have a harder time with it because I feel like it comes from the top down.
Yeah.
It's a old timer thing, and it's a hierarchy thing of this is how it is and this is the way that it needs to be. And I've gone deeper and deeper spiritually, and the deeper I go spiritually, the more I reject these controlling beliefs. I just fundamentally reject them. I don't believe there's any God actually in them. I believe it's our own, controlled selves that wants us to feel safe and protect. But it's protect from what? What are you protecting from? You're living in fear if you're trying to protect.
Yeah, but it took you a point to you had to come to this place, right?
I know. I do this all the time. I like to get self-righteous about things that I used to participate in quite a bit.
Well, it's not even that I'm saying that you're self-righteous. It's that I don't want people to miss that so from one version to the other version, there's a lot of meat and potatoes and how we get to that place, right? Because some people might, and I'm just playing devil's advocate. I already know your story. It's just whoever's watching this might not. Maybe Richie don't even know it completely. But there was a lot of things that had to occur in order for you to come to a place where you began this process and be like where you're at now is something admirable, like what you're striving to become. But to get to that place, to want to strive to become that, and then the actions that you've been taking to get to this place, right, is a whole other entity that I don't want to just bypass, because how do we go from previous Justin to...
So I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. The thing that I would say is I was taught that way.
Yep.
I got clean in Nashua. There was a lot of old timers, and it was a small community, and everybody was in everybody's business.
Yep.
To be honest. And I also think that these types of policies and procedures feed into being judgmental about things going on, who's dating who, what's doing, you know what I mean? You can't do that. You can't do this.
It takes away from the recovery.
The focus, again, is not on a message of hope. It's on who's doing what and trying to control people. And controlling people does not help them evoke safety. You're not going to help somebody be honest when you start to try to control them. When you start to try to control what they say, who they can date, what they can do in a meeting. There's control in that. And so we're not invoking a safe environment for people to just be themselves. And it was taught to me, it was mistaught to me, and I came to a different understanding over the years. And Northeast Mass helped me come to a different understanding. You talk about when you first came in, and I had all those years, but it was a relief to me because I had a sponsor who I loved and deeply cared about, and he loved and cared about me until I did something that he didn't agree with. And we're like 7-8 years into our relationship, and he's like turning sponsees against me, and like based on an opinion.
See you later,
based on an
bro.
opinion about something. Well,
were you mistaught, or do you think you just adapted with the times?
No, I was mistaught because back then that's how it was. This area, Nashua, 22 years ago. There was actually a lot more clean time in Nashua 22 years ago. NA fellowship in Nashua now is pretty young, which I like. I like when it's young because it's more open.
Yeah.
Obviously, old timers are important and clean time is important. But at the same note, we're a new generation. We're a new generation, and I feel like we're a little bit more open to being loving and caring. I mean, you're a prime fucking example, dude. You are amazing. Mm-hmm. You are such a good dude, and you help people just freely be themselves. And I would say that is more important than what I was doing at 15 years clean half the time.
Right, but and you're talking about a different generation and a different time. Like when you were starting to get clean, like that was the way, man. Like nowadays, like I feel personally like people are too sensitive, man. Like I remember going to meetings when it was ashtrays, brooms, and chairs, man. And like they told you to sit the fuck down and shut up. Yeah. And like that's what like I needed to hear, right? And like what you say about Nicole, like sit the fuck down and shut up. You know what I mean? Like you don't know shit or you wouldn't be here. Like that's how I learned.
What was the hall in Revere? What was the hall in Revere that they shut down? That they used to have the big ass fucking events at right by the beach.
Oh,
the big
shit.
church.
Wonderland. No,
yeah, it was right up the street from Wonderland.
Or something like that, yeah.
Do you remember they used to have huge-ass recovery events there?
Oh, Sammy's Patio.
Yeah.
Right
well, Sammy's, but before Sammy's, there was the church right
Club
there.
Club 24 in Malden.
No, not Club 24. Forget it. You must have not been going to them back then, but...
Yeah. You still strung out, Richie, is what Justin's trying to
Yeah,
say.
yeah. Facts. But
Well, you
no,
were talking about ashtrays.
I mean,
ashtrays we're going way
The
back.
point, I guess, I mean, obviously, there's in recovery that's adapt. We're always going to have to adapt, and we're always going to change with the times. And what once was doesn't necessarily mean what once was doesn't necessarily translate to what is now in the current moment. I had to adapt, right? Even working in treatment, the way that we present to, for me, it's no longer the sit the fuck down, shut the fuck up. That works for a smaller niche of people.
Yep.
Now, what I believe is what works for me. It's talking directly to the spirit, right? It's that flame. It's igniting that thing that's dead inside of someone. It's not only trying to advocate towards getting off of drugs and getting clean and staying clean, but it's the secondary, the development of a life worth living, and what could that potentially look like, and to start to bang into the heads of people like the possibilities of anything, right? Is to take the peanut-sized idea of what we think our lives can become and open it up to the possibilities of what truly is, right? And to really focus in on that understanding, because the resistance mentally is so powerful in the beginning, the barriers and limitations that we set for ourselves in early recovery, and even sometimes with lengths of recovery, what's possible, we limit ourselves, right? We create this narrative that we can get to a certain extent, to a certain point, and that's it. Or sometimes we don't even think in terms of what could be possible. We set real mediocre style goals, right? We tell ourselves, like, I just ran group last week. What do you want? I always ask people that. What do you want?
same answer, to be happy.
Just to be happy.
I want a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, all right, well, I could do a lot of fucked up shit that'll make me happy. So that's not the greatest goal. So what do you want? I just want to work and just live a normal. You see what? I just want to get back home, or I just want to be a
successful,
or just to be a good dad, or it's not that I'm saying these things aren't good, right? It's just that they're trying to think, and their mind will literally only allow them to think that much, right?
Yeah.
And so I have to focus on, like, no, what do you want? What do you truly want for yourself? Like, what does it look like? What does it feel like? Where is it? What have you thought of it? Even if you haven't thought of it, like, begin the process of thinking about that. Begin the dialogue around that. Open up, because we need to change the cycle of thought, because the barriers are set from the thoughts that are occurring internally, right? We've at some point attached truth to those thoughts and are living internally as if that's real. But the focus, especially in recovery, is cracking that and changing the cycle of thought, especially for the new people coming in. Because you fuck around and let anybody in life, especially addicts, know that there is this life out there, that they're not limited by this thing that they call like a crutch, right? Being an addict or drug addiction, that they're not limited to that they can aspire to be and attain these beautiful things in life. Like, what I thought was possible for me, I got done the first 3 years.
Yeah.
And then some. I've been clean fucking almost 16 years now. I like how I round up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. Yep. I saw that.
I've blown my mind every year since then. Literally blown my mind to this current day. Even as fucking crazy as my life is right now, we got a lot of crazy stuff going on, stressful things. I still, when I get home, I'm like, this is fucking wild. My life is wild. Out on scooters with you guys, my life is fucking wild. She's laughing, like she's smiling. Fucking this podcast room is fucking wild to me. Even the fact that we're engaging in these conversations, it still blows my mind to this day. But the difference for me now and then is what I believe could. I mean, Justin's talking about fucking being a billionaire. That's how far he's stretched the cycle of thought that he wants for himself, and starting his own love cults and shit. And
I'm gonna be a billionaire.
Yeah, I do. I'm
Dude,
starting to
I
believe
literally
it.
believe at this point that anything that you truly believe, you can make happen. I just know this to be factual. I literally know this to be factual. Do I know exactly how it's going to happen? No, I know that it takes time, but this is where the recovery process will bring you. The recovery process will bring you to starting to interact with the universe and the quantum, and you'll start to understand how these quantum laws work, and you can start to work them into your life. And belief is so important. We have a divine mind. We are a reflection of the creator. We are creators ourselves. That is what we are here to do. And so we're supposed to create things that express who we are. So once you start to tap into that, life gets really exciting. Life gets really, really exciting. And then anytime that you get down a little bit, you just go to a meeting and people prop you up and tell you, no, you can do it. And you know what I mean? If we're creating the atmosphere, if you surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah.
What's changed, Richie?
What's changed
Yeah,
in my life?
Internally, mentally.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Like
Think about it.
everything. Like my thought process. Like you were just saying, like I used to put caps on shit. Like I can't read. No, like, and I remember like saying can't. And my grandfather would yell at me, if you say can't, you won't. Like I don't say can't no more, man. It's like if I don't want to do it, I'll say no. Or like most of the time, like I know like I'm capable of whatever, and it's because of like the people I surround myself with. You know what I'm saying? And like and you know, usually like people be like, yeah, and like gas you up, you could do it. Like my experience is like, cause like they're gassing you up, but like in the back of their mind, like they want you to feel. They don't want to see you successful. But like the people that I surround myself with today will like tell me like you could do it, and like, you know, let's figure out how. And like they're willing to like take that walk with me today and like guide me in the right direction. And like what they tell me, like I know like they're not gonna blow bullshit up me, because like they care about me. Like the friendships like I make in here. You know what I mean? Like they're friendships like that they don't want to see me down and out. Like they want to see me succeed, and they want to see me like challenge myself. Like, and I always say that, like if I don't challenge myself, I'll never know what I'm capable of. True. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like whatever I do, like I try to challenge myself, and because like I'm not afraid to fail. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't live in that shit no more. Like I get afraid, I get scared, but like I walk through that, and it's like by hanging around with like you guys who like done it before me and like showed me how to like how you guys dealt with shit. You know what I'm saying? And like before, like if I thought I couldn't do it, like that was it, man. Like I'm not doing it. Like I'm not taking that risk. I'm not giving you, you know, something to talk about. Like this kid, like I failed my fucking driving test 4 fucking times up here.
I remember.
I got it my 4th time. I failed it 3 times. But like every time I failed it, right, I had a bunch of people saying you'll get it next time. Like this is like you're studying too hard. You're putting too much thought into it. And like those things were like, that was the truth. Like I was studying too hard and I was putting too much thought into it. And when I went up there, like I froze and I like failed it. You know what I'm saying? Like and it was just like, once I just relaxed and like believed in myself, like I was able to do it. You know what I'm saying? And like those are like, before, like, yeah, I was cocky, I was confident, and like, yeah, I got this. But like now I don't think like that, man, because like I think more with a clearer mind, and like I don't rush into, like, yeah, I do. I rush into shit, but like most of the times, like it pans out. You know what I'm saying? But like I know, like if I fall, like I'll be able to like get back up and like try again.
It's funny when you're talking about being afraid. My stepfather, Nico's father, and my brother's father, he raised me. He's not a man of very many words, right? But I had an awesome, when my first 4 years clean, we had like an awesome relationship. It was, we had a strained relationship for as long as I was using, right? Because my mother was enabling me, and he was very like, the fuck you doing? So, but then when I got clean, he became like a source for me, right? Just like a source of strength. And he used to give me the simplest, because at that time we were dancing and we used to have to compete. I remember like we were going to this event in New York, and we had to compete at this big fucking event, and right going into Manhattan, and I would always call him, and he'd say the same shit every time I call him. I'd be like, I'm scared, I'm afraid, I don't know how we're gonna do. I'd go on this long rant, and he'd just get quiet, and he'd go, well, do it afraid. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah. You told me that before, actually. It's
Yeah.
deep. Do it afraid.
Yeah.
It's deep.
And it would literally, I'd be like, all right, do it afraid. And almost to the point, we always used to say to each other whenever we'd get scared, even after he passed, like that was our motto for everything. Just do it afraid. Because fear inevitably is going to creep in. That is the act of faith, doing it afraid, right? That is the act of faith that we take. So it's what you were talking about, in spite of, right? In spite of, because we know the fear is coming. The second we decide to do anything that is going to take us out of our comfort zone, that it's going to require at some point an act of faith, which essentially is doing it afraid,
Right.
not allowing that to be like the time we pump the brakes. But let's take a quick break. I gotta pee, and then we'll
Adam.
bam, and we're back. We had to take a quick little tinkle break.
PP.
Chris got a weak bladder.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Chrissy L.
Dude, it's my
Chrissy,
fault.
Yeah,
It's my
he's
fault,
like,
man.
ooh.
Chrissy L. I thought that name was gonna die out.
Hell
Oh
no.
man.
I was sitting over here for like 15 minutes having to go to the bathroom, and I'm still just a baby and won't say anything.
I can tell because Chris starts going like this.
Yeah, my legs start wiggling.
Oh man.
Yeah. First off, we didn't shout out our sponsors. Rich Print Shop in the building.
Richmond Shop,
Made that T-shirt.
the sick T-shirt. Ascend is not out yet.
Nope,
It's been a week, but it's coming.
it's coming. Also, if you made it this far in the podcast and you haven't turned it off, please like
And subscribe.
and subscribe and share.
Mm-hmm.
And comment.
Only nice comments though, because I'm so sensitive.
Frail.
I'm so sensitive and frail. So we're coming to the end of the episode. Richie, it's been great to allow you on here to listen to us speak.
I got my hits in.
You did.
So I like to end the podcast. I like to come to the end and ask some questions. I usually ask the same question unless you got a different question that you would want to ask them. But what do you?
What's your question?
I always ask if you could go back and give you advice. Now knowing what you know, what would you give you advice? You.
Yeah,
Oh.
not me. No.
Okay. If I give myself advice, what I know now, like give myself time to to heal. Don't be in a rush, because like it's not a race, man. And like I always thought, like once I got this or once I made it here, like I'd be all right. But like this is like. It's not. I'm not in a rush to go nowhere, man. And it's like if I'm always rushing, like I'm gonna miss like the small shit, and like I always rush to get back to work, get back to my family, and I always had like a reason why I couldn't, give myself the time, and like this time I didn't, and another one is it's like don't be careful like who you judge, man, because like the person like who I was judging and pointing fingers to could be like the person that saves me tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? And I was always like, that's he's not like me. So like I got nothing in common with him. So I just wouldn't fuck with him. You know what I mean? And I couldn't be more wrong, man. Like I got guys from all different walks of life, and I learned shit from all of them. You know what I mean? Just because like they didn't grow up in the projects or like they didn't do what I did. They never been to jail or something. Like, doesn't mean like they don't know stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I always like put a cap on that and like judge people for like where they were and like what they've been through. And I disqualified myself from a lot of good people. So.
Wow.
So my question would be, since we're on the honesty tip, one thing that nobody knows about you. One thing that nobody knows about you. You were just saying judging people. So what's something that people might judge you for that nobody knows about you?
Good or bad?
Good or bad?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm a mama's boy. I'm gonna tell you that right now. It might not seem like that.
You're in the right place, my friend.
But no, like I don't do things. I do things because like I love people, and like sometimes I'm hard on them, and like I don't want them to know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like I care a lot. You know what I mean? And sometimes like I'll put that like image like that, like what other people do don't bother me, but like I do. I care about people, and it's like it does bother me, and it's hard, like to let them walk. Like see something crashing in front of you and like not being able to do something about it and like just sit back. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like I care a lot about people, and I try not to like put that out there. Like a lot of people know that, but I look at it as a weakness sometimes. You know what I mean? Because like if someone knows that I care too much, like then they could try to take advantage and shit like that. So but I'm learning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What about you, Chris? I'll go last. I got a fucking laundry
Dude,
list.
I got a
of
lot. I hate my fucking teeth. I have a lot of insecurities, and I try to come. Dude, no, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know if a lot of people know that, but like, I'm so insecure about myself.
No, everybody knows that.
Dude, I'm so bad.
If you just watch this podcast, you can figure that out quickly. When he's like, "Oh, okay."
Dude, I'm so fucking.
All I hear is you
insecure.
heavy breathe in the mic when you want to say something. Never mind.
I don't know. I mean, I would say that I try to come across, but like you said, people who watch people who watch this know I'm insecure. But what other? I don't know.
Any funny stuff? Anything?
Not that I want to say. My mom listens.
Oh,
No.
come on.
No. I love Justin Bieber. I'll say that. That's embarrassing. No one knows that shit.
Hell yeah, dude.
Dude.
Go ahead. What do you got?
What do I got?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I don't know how I ask a question. I don't have the answer to it. It's odd, right?
Yeah.
I had red hair and freckles when I was a kid, and now I got a hair transplant, and I dye my hair and my beard a little darker because it makes it fill it in a little bit more.
Nice.
And I don't like the red tone that's in there, if I'm being completely honest. So, big dye job over here.
I was just telling you how much I love your hair, too. I didn't even know.
I noticed.
You noticed that I dye it?
I did.
How'd you notice?
Because your hair's not black. It's brown.
I think it got...
I dye it with dark brown. But really I'm not dark brown. It's like a reddish brown. But I don't like the red.
Nice.
But I'm about to have a boy in literally the next 2 weeks. It's almost guaranteed.
Congrats.
I'm having a beautiful little freckled redheaded boy who I'm gonna love the shit out of.
Hell yeah. Me? You ready to get your minds fucking blown, dude?
Yep.
I was in a boy band. Did you know that?
Yep.
Oh,
You did know that?
Yep, you told me that.
Musical theater. I was in musical
knew
theater.
that.
I used to sing and dance.
Like a West Side Story?
West Side Story?
West Side.
West Side. No, I was actually in West Side Story. I was in West Side Story. I was in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat with Donny Osmond. Jesus Christ Superstar. I'm a super theater buff. I go and see plays all the time.
Awesome. Glee,
Yeah, Glee was a TV show.
but amazing.
But singing, yeah. Rent is my favorite musical. I've seen it twice live. What else? How'd you know about the boy band?
You've said it before. You were talking about dancing one night. You said, yeah, I was in a boy band too. I forget how it got brought up. I don't know. It was someone else there. It was 3 or 4 of us.
Okay.
I know everything. Everything.
What else is something
Nico, what do you got?
super goofy that I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, but everybody knows that.
Dude, you made the whole office dress up.
like Harry
I
Potter.
loved it. I wish I could have been there. I love that.
Yeah. That's those 3 things. I mean, 4 things is pretty. I'm not embarrassed by any of that no more. I embrace the shit out of that.
I think I got the question wrong because, like,
yeah, go ahead. You can answer again.
Talk, like, I felt like something like if I don't. Sometimes I feel like I wouldn't fit in. You know what I mean? Or like feel part of, or people wouldn't accept me if they knew like some of the shit I did. You know what I'm saying? But like I everyone wants to feel accepted. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like it's hard like when you're trying not to mask who you are, and like you have that doubt in the back of your head, like, are they just tolerating you or do they like really care? You know what I'm saying? And like that was a thing like I had to like, really, trust what people are saying. You know what I mean? Like when they say like I love you and like, inviting me over places and shit like that. You know what I mean? And like, because I always question people's motives.
Yeah, you always the negative self-talk. They're just doing it to,
The cool thing about recovery, you've been talking about this whole podcast about like freely being able to be ourselves, creating safety. We're talking about our feminine side a little bit here. You know what I mean? coming from your heart, feelings, all this other stuff.
See how he
Dude.
looked at me when he said feminine side?
Dude, I got it, dude. I'm like, I'm embracing, dude, in my
I think you better watch your damn mouth.
dude, in my spiritual journey right now, I'm embracing my feminine side, coming from my heart. Like, you know what I mean? Not
Yeah.
having to sound intelligent, but coming from how I feel. That's why I started crying at the beginning, because I did some mantras about it this morning. Because that's what it's energetically. You're going deeper when you start to get there. But in the next 30 years, mankind is going to change for the better, and society is going to change, and we're going to become a more feminine, loving, caring society. I follow spiritual teachers, and the pandemic is the first thing of many that are going to happen that are going to actually unmask us for being a better world. So you heard it here first. Check back in 30 years from now.
Or you could find us in probably somewhere in the deep woods in the love cult.
Yes.
Yep.
And I'm going to start a self-sustaining love cult
Yep.
where we all just hang out and love each other, which is pretty much what we've done. Everybody moved to New Hampshire for Mass.
Yeah. We recruited heavy. We were like, we ain't
did.
going alone.
Yeah, we did. But we're going deeper. I want to go deeper. I
Yeah,
want to keep going.
we're going
north.
deeper in the woods, people. Keep going.
So be ready. We're going to build out.
So that's the end of the podcast. If you got anything out of it, good. If you didn't, tune in next week. Hopefully we'll do better.
Richie, you have anyone you want to shout out, Richie?
Richie, shout out to who?
My girl Allison and my kids and my mother and my family.
You're an amazing
Sweet.
dad, by the way.
Oh, dude, the best.
You have amazing kids.
Thank you.
Give you a shout
Thanks.
out on that.
Yeah.
I look up to good fathers. That's huge. That's like one of the more inspiring things that I see in individuals when they're awesome fathers, and you definitely are. Your son's like a little mini version of you. It's fucking hilarious.
He's a good kid. Just
But-
graduated, unfortunately, with this fucking 2020 bullshit. But he did graduate, and I'm very proud of him.
Hell
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Congratulations.
Shout out, buddy. Good job.
So we're coming to the end of this podcast. We do our best to bring you insight into our lives, into recovery, try to give you some inspiration. We're actually hopefully next week going to start taking topics that people want us to talk about, maybe some questions. Nico's going to put out maybe something on Instagram or something that we could take people's questions, ideas, and topics to talk about. But for anybody new that's watching the podcast, I think the point that we were trying to make with all that is that the most important things with that is find your people.
Yep.
Your people are out there. One person can definitively change your life like it has for everybody in this room. And also don't be discouraged if a meeting isn't the most loving environment if you've gone there, because I've been to meetings and some have been the meetings that saved my life, and others were the ones that made me walk out and never want to go. But the point is the reason why they say keep coming. There's why there's those mantras, probably for specific reasons like that, because at the end of the day, meetings are just people, and people aren't perfect.
Yep.
Right? So essentially it comes back to find your people, because those people will save your life. But that's it. Shout out Rich Print Shop. Shout out my brother Nico on the ones and twos back there, and we out. Peace.
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 Peace.